Tell me how long you've been involved with the border and what all you've done there. Give everybody an idea of what your history is with our border.
I'm born and raised in El Paso, Texas, and so I've been on the border most of my life. I've been in law enforcement since the age of 22. I've worked at every level of government: county level, state level, federal level as a special agent, and international as a U.S. diplomat in Mexico and Europe. So I worked in many different capacities and investigated many different crimes. When it came to Homeland Security, I want people to understand that our jurisdiction is that of anything that touches our border, anything that has a nexus or a violation to the nexus to our border. HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, has that jurisdiction to investigate it. So we're talking about the illegal movement of people and goods. A lot of times right now we're concentrating obviously on the people and illegal immigration, but let's not forget also the commercial side of it and the customs side of it, which we're trying to defend the homeland with illegal substances coming in. And I'm not just talking about drugs and fentanyl. I'm talking about pharmaceuticals. I'm talking about cotton T-shirts that are not 100% cotton that they say that they are, and many other things and goods that come through that border. There's a lot of enforcement happening every single day to protect our homeland.
You're a retired supervisory special agent with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Homeland Security Investigations. So what are you doing now?
Well, I medically retired in 2015 after going through a horrific event in my career when I was assigned in Mexico at the U.S. Embassy. My partner, Special Agent Jaime Zapata, and I were ambushed by a cartel on an assignment and were, shot at over 100 rounds. Special Agent Jaime Zapata tragically lost his life in the line of duty. I'm here by the grace of God, being able to tell you this story after taking 3 bullets. And so that happened in 2011. That led to my retirement in 2015 with a lot of details that I'm leaving out. But I never stopped fighting. Ever since I retired, I wrote a book, one that I think I got you a copy last time, Agent Under Fire,
Thank you for
because I
that.
wanted to, first of all, let people who I am and the tragedy that happened in Mexico. But also at the end of that book, I wanted people to know what my expertise and what I know about the border. This is what I've done all my life, and I wrote about it. And I wrote that book almost 3 years ago, and you think I wrote it yesterday with the information that's on there, because it's covering the wall, sanctuary cities, immigration, asylum criteria, everything that we're seeing at the border today. My subject matter expertise is human trafficking investigations, and dealt a lot with that horrific crime and rescuing a lot of women and children from captivity. It's a modern day slavery in the U.S. And so I wrote about that, and I become a consultant, a public speaker. Dabbled a little bit into politics. Didn't work out for me, but I'm trying. I'm trying every which way to be able to be part of the solution.
And I want to leave you with this. I want to be part of the solution here. I'm not going away. I got other projects, but I want to be part of the solution. I want to be able to use my voice. I want to be able to use my platform, not as big as yours, Brandon. I don't have millions of followers, but I do have a voice out there. I do have an expertise. And I want to thank all of you that supported me in this race. But I always ultimately said, and I promised to Brandon that if he would make it to the runoff, I would support them. And I'm standing by my word. That's why I'm here today.
Unfortunately, a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today has become very partisan. I personally believe that it shouldn't be. I think the protection of the American people, public safety, and national security shouldn't shouldn't be politically partisan, but unfortunately it is. And so that's why I dabble into the politics of it, because you have to kind of understand that as well to approach it and bring in viable solutions.
Well, the book, Agent Under Fire, you say you could have written it now. You could have written it this weekend because things haven't changed for the better, that's for sure. And congratulations on that book. And so people understand, let's go back to that day in 2011 when you and your partner were ambushed. let's talk about how that happened, where it happened, and you took over 100 rounds of fire. You were hit 3 times. Your partner, Agent Zapata, lost his life. Take me through that event. What happened that day? Where were you? What cartel was it? Tell people what happened.
We were at the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City on Valentine's Day on February 14th when the assignment came down. The assignment was a botched assignment, and I say it very confidently. It was an assignment that was not normally given by my superiors or my supervisors. The adequate standard operating procedure that we dealt with in Mexico was not um, provided to us that time. And what I'm talking about is Mexican federal police or Mexican military escorting us, and additional U.S. law enforcement escorting us in these armored vehicles that we drove, because that's the way we drove. This Highway 57 is the main corridor from Mexico City up to Texas. And they wanted me and Agent Zapata to go pick up some equipment, some boxes of equipment. That's all I knew that it was back then. My understanding, it was some surveillance equipment for a other money laundering case that we were working on, and tracking devices and sort. Some was going to be for us, some was going to be for the Mexican government. But it was kind of go get it and bring it back. Well, I had a lot of questions about it, and I challenged the assignment because we knew that Highway 57, a major part of that, and when I say Highway 57, it's the interstate, it's the toll road, the safe road, was controlled by Los Zetas cartel, and we knew the intelligence uh, that there was a lot of firefights and confrontations between Los Zetas cartel and Mexican federal police and military. So much that the ambassador, about 3 weeks before this assignment came down, had issued an alert to all U.S. personnel prohibiting us from driving on that highway for personal or business reasons. And that was ignored. So, despite my challenges, they were ignored. I'll quote the deputy attaché at that time. He said, after I made my supervisor go and tell him everything that I just told you, he came out of his office and said that he wasn't aware of any security uh, reasons in Mexico. I kind of told him the whole country, Mexico is a security concern. And so there we were, ordered. And so the following day, Agent Zapata and I go in my armored vehicle and head off. We make arrangements with the ICE agents from the Monterey office to kind of meet halfway. We end up driving a little bit more than they did. We meet up at kilometer marker 100, exchange those boxes. It was a lot of boxes, so much that it took out not only just folding the third row seats, but also the second row seats to fill the entire cabin or back area of the SUV. Exchange it, and driving back, I was still driving, stopped at the Subway sandwich there because Agent Zapata wanted to eat Subway. And after lunch, I gave him the keys for his turn to drive. I was working on a BlackBerry, working a lot of, uh, I was looking for a fugitive. I was putting together a human trafficking conference. And so that was going to allot me some time to work. But within 15 to 20 minutes of Agent Zapata taking the wheel, we got initially passed by 2 SUVs at a high rate of speed. And Agent Zapata is the one that gave me the heads up and said, hey, heads up. I look up and I see the silhouette of a rifle sticking in between the seats of the second SUV. And I told Agent Zapata, just let them go. We didn't know who they were. And they sped off. Well, before you knew it, we were on them. They had slowed down to about 20 miles an hour. And we came up on them, and they immediately started conducting what we call a rolling roadblock. The first SUV in front of you brakes substantially. At the same time, the SUV next to us pushes to the right. We trained this at the academy. And Agent Zapata initially tried to maneuver his way out of that, and they pushed us back in. Uh, the second time they recouped, the SUV next to Jaime on the driver's side door took out AK-47s, and they were screaming and yelling all in Spanish to stop and to pull over. Eventually, they forced us off to the right shoulder of the highway, coming to a complete stop. About 8 Los Zetas cartel members. Now, keep in mind, we had no idea these were cartel members. We had no idea who they were. And they were not dressed in military attire. They were not dressed in all black or tactical gear. They were in jeans, T-shirts, very clean cut, very short, very fit type looking soldier. reminded me of very southern Mexico or even Central American looking. And they half surrounded our Suburban. The Suburban was unlocked at the time that Agent Zapata placed it in park. The Suburban was programmed to unlock the 4 doors. And we just didn't realize it at that time. One of the shooters comes to Jaime's side driver door, opens the door, which surprised him, surprised Agent Zapata, and surprised me on the passenger seat. But immediately Agent Zapata grabs the handle and shuts the door, and we start hitting that lock button. And that upset he had a handgun, the guy that opened the door, eventually shooting some rounds towards the door and the front tire. And that's the first time it took me a second to really realize, did he just, I remember saying this in my brain, did he just shoot at the door? It was very, very surreal to me. Um, and before you know it, two of the shooters came to my window. My window was rolled down 2 inches. When we hit those buttons, we inadvertently hit the window button, and it rolled it down. One came in with an AK-47, another with a handgun by my head, and I immediately kind of braced. Remember, we're full of boxes here.
Mhm.
I raise the window, it catches the barrel of both guns. I see the shooter trying to wiggle the rifle, and without notice, they open fire into the cabin.